another episode of Alex and DJ Watch a Doc.
Watch a Doc. I'm Alex.
I'm DJ. Welcome. We're happy to have you. Let's get right into it because this week it got crazy.
It did, didn't it?
We watched Gringo, The Dangerous Life of John McAfee.
Yeah. The guy who just died.
Yeah, the life is over. The dangerous life came to its natural conclusion.
Yeah. A dangerous death.
Yes, exactly. I mean, aren't all deaths dangerous?
I guess it depends how you define danger.
True. Well, no disrespect to John McAfee, rest in peace, but he did die in a Italian prison cell awaiting extradition to America for various crimes. Yeah. And that the crazy part is none of that documented in this movie. This movie came out in 2016. He already had a crazy ass life, and then in the 4 years since then, his life has seemingly gotten even crazier.
Even crazier. He likes to live on the edge, he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people say it, but he walked the talk.
No, you can see it within this documentary. You're able to see that this guy likes to push it to the limit. And sometimes if you're in the way when he's pushing, you might get pushed off a cliff.
Yeah.
That doesn't actually, nobody actually gets pushed off a cliff. I'm using that as a metaphor. It's not literal in this particular case.
We don't know. I'm sure there were some cliffs in Belize he would have pushed people off of. This man.
This is slanderous. This is exactly what he complained about with this movie, was he thought it was all just a bunch of slander. He's just trying to paint him with a brush. And,
I don't care because his words meant nothing, so I know he would realize that I'm just trying to create entertaining content. This is a man, really? I say his words meant nothing, and he would admit as much. This man, after the documentary, he was big in the Bitcoin world, right? Cryptocurrency. He made a pledge a couple years ago that if Bitcoin didn't hit $1 million, he would eat his own dick on national TV.
Did he say eat his own dick?
He said eat his own dick. And then people were watching it. And then the date came closer that he said it would be $1 million by. And it was like not even close. Yeah. And he said, guys, I'm obviously not going to eat my own dick. I can't believe you guys would even believe something like that. Right. He was like, but you said you were going to eat your own dick.
I know. But the thing of it is, that's what a puss move is. But here's the thing. He wasn't a puss. And it's not Dick's that was on the dinner plate at his home.
Okay, let's go through the early details quick so we can get to the weird ass harem gangster shit.
He liked to eat poop. To quote one of the
ladies,
one of his ladies, which he liked the ladies, but he also liked them very young, and he liked to pay for them.
It's true.
That's what it is.
Yeah, he liked girls and ladies, basically. They were as young as 14. I don't think you're a lady at that. I mean...
Yeah, that's right. That's actually what you might say, a young lady. Oh, look at this nice young lady.
That's
true.
And
you don't usually want to be introducing your date as a man who's in his 50 plus, saying, "This. What do you think of my date, this nice young lady?" You don't want that.
I think he was already 65 at the time he was living in Belize.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, because actually in his mid-50s is when he did the guru thing.
Yeah.
When he had his little flirtation with enlightenment. He had a flirtation with enlightenment,
I love that we just glossed over him pooping and we're just moving on to the enlightenment, but I like it. He was a man of many different...
You don't have to gloss over the poop. He certainly didn't gloss over it.
We'll be talking about the poop.
But I'm just saying that we have to understand that's where it's coming from. It's coming from a guy who's bounced around in life experiences. He's lived on the edge. I'm going to keep saying this, by the way, until
you're not wrong.
You can't take it anymore.
Is there a connection between the enlightenment path that he went down when he opened this meditation retreat in the middle of Colorado, wrote 5 books on meditation, actually was living that life, and then he turns into a guy who's pooping in 15-year-old girls' mouths in Belize? Is there a connection between those two? Do you think he felt so enlightened that he says, why can't a man poop into a willing girl's mouth if he wants? Like he felt that was some sort of opening, an awakening.
I love that you're trying to find something in this.
I mean, it was the same man doing these two things. How?
I can understand what you're saying is like how do you go from one to the next? I don't think they connect. First of all, I'm going to say 2 things about this. First of all, you just talk about glossed over. Nobody actually said pooped in 15-year-old girls' mouths until you said it. So now, for anybody who hasn't watched the film, we're introducing this idea, and we should definitely cut to a clip at some point with this. But before we do, I just want to mention the other idea, which is that how do you go from enlightenment? How is this an enlightened experience? I think what it is that he tried enlightenment. He went, boring. What's a guy got to do to get a nice piece of shit on my plate?
You're absolutely right.
Sandwich.
I exactly, without the bread, just shit, please.
Yeah,
but I think
I'm going low carb, if you don't mind. Just at very best, if you could wrap it in lettuce, that would be fine.
Yeah, the old.
Which sometimes I've had
shit.
lettuce. You ever have some lettuce and it's a bit bad and it comes anyway? That's another thing.
Yeah, I need to make an important point here though, because I feel this makes it a lot less nefarious. And you correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I mistakenly said he was pooping in the girl's mouth. That never happened. They were pooping in his mouth.
Yes, that's right.
That's way better.
That's right.
Still
that's
weird,
right.
but
Sorry,
way
if I misspoke, I didn't mean to misspoke.
I misspoke and you repeated what I said. I started the misspeaking and you ran with it.
Yeah. Okay, well, you got to make sure you get that right.
It's a big detail.
It's a big difference because you know what? It's like, I think we all know that it's like, look, I'm going to do it anyway. You know what I mean? All right, if you give me a couple $100 cash, I was going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
I might as well get in the hammock and get under it and we'll take care of this. It's just a transaction.
And the opposite is true, where McAfee's like, listen, I'm going to take shit in my mouth anyway and pay somebody, so you might as well be the one that takes the money. Whereas the other way is like, the girl's not going to take shit in her mouth anyway. Like, it just, I'm going to impose a potentially traumatic experience on you.
No, that's exactly it. That's the part where it becomes even more heinous. So in a way, he does have, when I think about it, he does have a nice guy quality about him.
What a good guy.
He's not a bad guy. Listen, look, like I said, you're shitting anyway.
The hammock detail does add it's something. It seems almost Jimmy Buffett-ish. Like, we're chilling around the hammock. Why don't we just cut a hole in the hammock? You're relaxing, shit in my mouth.
That's all it is. That's the thing. A nice hammock too. You know what I mean? It's not an awkward situation. Relax. You're in the hammock. I like the fact that this is really what we're running with for this whole time.
I mentioned to my buddy Dave that we were going to be talking about this documentary, and I said, have you ever seen it? And he's like, yeah, that's the one with the girl shit in his mouth, right? And I'm like, yeah, it is. It's an hour and a half documentary about many different things, but that was his takeaway.
He's a multifaceted man, but it usually it all ends in how big a shit and what did they eat.
Let's show the clip of these girls talking about their experience.
I think it's the only respectful thing to do at this point.
Had you ever had sex for money prior to that, or?
No. That was my first time. I was ashamed, but then I got used to it.
What did he have you do?
Sit on this hammock. The hammock has a hole.
He puts you in a hammock. Then after that, he lies down on the hammock.
She seemed like the most uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a drag.
Yeah, he would cut a little
all
hole.
Like business-like about
and he
it.
would
Completely
sit
business.
there.
You're right.
That's what he used it for.
Oh boy, and that over the mouth.
Because he wanted to have
Yuck.
Scott sex, and I didn't agree with that.
What is Scott sex?
And when you poop in someone's mouth.
Oh, I thought sex with a guy named Scott.
He used to make you shit in his mouth. Like that. I've never done that before, and it was an experience for me. And
He puts his head under your butt and he asks you to shit in his mouth, and so.
Did he ever have regular intercourse, like vaginal intercourse?
No. None of that.
No.
That was the only thing I did.
No vaginal. Interesting. So with her, I mean, look, this is none of my business, and that's why we're talking about it. But no vaginal, just shit in my mouth. That's I looked it up. Corpophagia. What was it that I said it was?
Coprophagia. He sent it to me.
Copro, and you made a stupid fucking joke about it.
Can I say the joke?
Yeah, of course.
It's called coprophagia. And I said they should make a show where they show people, pooping in people's mouths and just have one fish-eyed lens, showing the whole thing. And it would be called GoProphagia, right? GoPro sponsorship opportunity. So
you can see it. You can imagine my surprise when I saw that in a text.
You said, save it for the pod.
That's exactly how. So you didn't get my tone in the text. Anyway. So yes, corpophagia, where it's an actual. It exists in different in animal species. But I was kind of wondering, what would be potentially a motivation psychologically to do that. And OCD came up, She's a bit OCD.
Some people, have to run their hand under the tap 7 times or make sure the stove's not on when they leave the house, and other people just need to shit in people's mouths. Yeah, OCD takes many forms.
Yeah, sometimes you, the definition of anal is what's coming out of it, not my.
So how does OCD manifest itself in that act? What's the connection?
I'm glad you asked. I'm in no way an expert in the field. I actually don't know. I think it's just a function of you get obsessed with something. So here's my take. I think this has to do with consumption. He's a consumer. He has a very consumer kind of mentality of always like he needs more of life. That's the thing. It's not just that he needs more money or he needs more, and I think that you get to a point where you've consumed whatever you want. He clearly loved power. He loved the idea of having a bunch of hitmen and having a bunch of like a harem. And he loved being a king, and he liked to behave like a king. And kings get bored because they can do whatever they want. Mm-hmm. So sometimes a king says, I don't know what is going to, the only thing I haven't tried yet, I've consumed everything. The only thing I haven't tried is consuming something that somebody already consumed. Maybe I'll try that.
Yeah.
And that's my theory.
I think you're right.
So hopefully that'll be an IG clip.
I think it will be an IG clip. As of now, we'll see how the rest of the episode goes. And I think you're right. I think, the way he is with the media too. He wanted so much media attention. He was a media whore, literally.
Yeah. Narcissist. That was coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, power and the way he tried to take over all of Orange Walk and Belize, and he even said he had, designs on taking over the whole country. Like he was turning into a madman, and he had enough money to make these girls do whatever they wanted. And he knew that because if he gave them $800 a day, that was probably more than they were going to make in a year.
Well, that's it. I mean, like he was also, see, part of being a king is you like to feel as though your loyal subjects love you. Mm-hmm. And so he gave them money and helped build their houses and like, oh, you're having difficulty paying for your education? Just eat that sandwich and get over here in about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So actually, it's a very quick digestion. I don't know, mine isn't that quick. Sometimes you can. I would imagine. Actually, I wonder if he ever spiced things, like so that way he could get a different kind of flavor.
I didn't even think about that. If he was directing them on what to eat for the act.
Yeah. I think that at some point you could become a connoisseur, right? Like it's like the first couple of times you're just gonna have whatever whiskey's available. You know what I mean?
He's not digesting, is he?
Huh?
You think he's eating the shit? I'm
not
thinking
necessarily,
taking
but
the
it's
mouth.
still exactly. You're still thinking about mouthfeel. You're thinking about like what are you looking for?
Let me ask you a very personal question.
I wonder actually how much of this we can actually talk about. But
it could be the whole episode. Let's be real.
Wonderful. I think we're doing great with it. Yeah. What were you gonna ask?
I think we're handling it very intellectually, curiously, non-judgmentally.
What curious minds they have.
How much would it take for somebody to pay you for you to shit in their mouth?
Yeah, I don't think it's that much.
You're laying in a hammock. They're laying underneath. How much?
No,
what is it?
I don't think. Here's what I'm thinking. Personally, I don't think it's taking a lot out of my schedule. Right? So first of all, there's that. Now, because of that fact, I'm now thinking. Now we have to look at what the market is saying. I want to know whether, if that's what I just want to be get my worth, my market worth, market value.
But there is no market for this. How do you determine that?
That's the thing. I'm not gonna.
What's the number, Alex?
Here's all I'm trying to say here. Let me
10,000.
I'm just saying that before I answer him, I'm not going to immediately just blurt out a number because I'll feel like an idiot if he says, "Yeah, fine, that sounds great." I'm like, fuck, I should have. Right? There's that. So I would say, can I get back to you tomorrow? I'd like to talk to you. I'd like to maybe just see what's out there. What are the other offers are out there?
Does it matter to you if it was a man or woman that presented this offer to you? Would you have a harder time pooping in either gender's mouth?
No, it really doesn't. Because it's away from me.
It's not though. They're right under the hammock.
Yeah, but again, it's like it's either you're into it or you're not. I mean, if I was into it and I was looking down and seeing who it is as the recipient, then maybe that might be a thing for me, and then I want a specific. But because that's not a thing for me, it doesn't matter who's on there. It's like saying, what are you more comfortable with, a white toilet or a slightly beige toilet?
A toilet doesn't have feelings.
That's what I'm saying. This is a transaction. How the hell am I going to get through this emotionally if it's not just a transaction they're just human toilets?
30,000 is my number.
You thought about it, 30 grand.
I just thought about it in the last 20 seconds while you've been pussyfooting around the issue and not giving me a number.
It's good. Well, I'm glad I gave you
I got people that want answers, Alex. Okay, so...
No, that's good. That's good.
Let's move on from the pooping.
No, but I just want to say that I would go way lower than that. If anybody's out there, I'm saying if anybody's out there, I go way lower than that. Just because I know that's come on, for the amount of time and effort I put into it, you're never gonna get, and I'm gonna take all your work away from you.
I like that, classic. And there's no union for these sorts of endeavors.
True enough.
Just scab as you're walking over to the hammock.
Did he say scat? Because I'm available at a very good price. Hi, I hope you've been enjoying this episode of Alex and DJ Watch a Doc. We have a sponsor. Getting bored of the same old thing? It's high time to spice things up, don't you think? Put a little something hot on her plate. Devil's Treat hot and spicy dinner sauces. Add to chicken, beef, pork, tofu, or straight out of the jar into your mouth. It goes down fast and it comes out faster. So then you can have a little spicy soft serve for dessert too. It's the Devil's Treat for dinner and more. So go get in the hammock and swing with Devil's Treat. Treat of the devil.
Okay, let's move away from the defecation into his mouth, and let's talk about his murderous tendencies. So he gets to Belize, pays off the whole police force, gives them tasers, weapons, hires all the scariest guys in Orange Walk, the baddies, and George Street, I believe, in the town there.
It's just such classic warlord moves.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. He comes, sets in, gives money to the cops. Here's all the equipment you want, and then proceeds to then go like, oh, but I want my own cops. I want dangerous con cops.
Gave him uniforms. The glee in that one guy's eyes, Tino, while he was talking about how badass they felt in their uniforms.
I forgot about that. I forgot. Really, that's right.
Tino was a scary looking dude.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Here's something. I mean, I compared DeLorean to Trump, but I'm going to compare McAfee to Trump as well. Well, I mean, they even called him the Donald Trump of Belize at one point. But, you know, Trump will always kind of say somebody's like straight out of central casting. He always says that. He doesn't pick people based on their actual qualification. He goes, that person looks like what a press secretary would look like in a movie, according to central casting. And you could see the same pride that John McAfee took when he described Tino, his number one heavy. He was like, he's a scary looking
dude. That's right.
Yeah, he might not have been the scariest guy in his crew, but he was the scariest looking and that mattered.
Yeah, he scanned the room and he was like, oh, I like the look of that guy. Yeah, because things are photo ops for him too, right? So it's like I want guys that look like that around me. Because and I think that's part of it too, right? It's like it's image, right? It's literally image. He wants to present it, and he did. He presented very good. He had frosted tips.
Frosted tips.
Tribal tats.
Yeah, the tribal tats.
And tank tops.
Tank tops. The 3 T's. Tips, tats, and tops.
Yeah.
Or tanks.
Yeah. Cut off tops, actually. They were cut off.
Mm-hmm.
Real nice.
I think I saw a few tank tops in there as well. Like black,
that's true.
What we used to call wife beaters before we learned that that's not a good term to give it.
I think you had to learn it. Like you didn't immediately know the first time you heard wife beater. Like, are we allowed to say that?
I was 10 years old, you know.
Okay. All right, fair enough. It's just good. Just a kind of heads up to the wives in the room.
I wasn't thinking about wives. I just thought there was an item of clothes called wife beater.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, oh, it's named after guys who beat wives. I was just like, oh, that's it. Like the same as like a...
Couldn't piece those two words.
I thought maybe anyway. I used to love wearing what I called, white beaters, tank tops when I was like 12 years old.
I was actually thinking of getting back into it. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see a guy like that, it ages well.
I mean, he looked cool. He looked cooler the older he got.
He kind of did.
When he was starting McAfee in the late 80s, early 90s, which we didn't even talk about. But this man started McAfee, so...
That's actually, the funny thing is like the first thing you tell people about is, it should be, you ever heard of McAfee antivirus software? Like it was in every PC. Yeah, he's actually the guy who started it. He just realized there's a market here. People are going to be aware of it. Let's make them even more scared of it. And then he had this antivirus software available to them with all the different viruses that were coming out with all the crazy names, right?
Yeah, and the viruses that he was coming up with are saying we're going to be big, like Michelangelo or Pakistani Brain, which I don't think is a good name, but they didn't end up Michelangelo for sure. By the way, I usually say Michelangelo, and I'm not sure why I just switched over to Michelangelo, but
no, it is Michelangelo, I believe. I mean,
okay.
I mean, the
That's
kind
not
of
what
the
the
kind
Ninja
of
Turtle
I think
was
the kind of listeners and viewers we're trying to attract would appreciate a Michelangelo.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, that ended up being like a dud of a virus, but it didn't matter at that point because he had like 60% of the computers, the PCs, his antivirus was on. So it was like he got in already based on his savvy with getting people scared, like you mentioned. It's genius.
No,
genius.
he was.
People having sex at the McAfee office.
Well, that's the other thing too. There were sex points. They were able to. I like that part. I enjoy the fact that he set up a culture. I like the culture of like, we're just cleaning off the desks after having sex the night before. I'm like, you know what? Look, at least he was having fun with his buddies at that was when he was the innocent McAfee. He's just having fun with his buddies.
I don't know if you'd call that fun now. Like, I don't think that's going to fly anywhere.
But it was friends and family. Of course, again, they didn't have... can you imagine human resources as Greg? So like, well, I don't know. Tell Greg. So like, fuck, Greg's an idiot. I know why he put him there. He looks like a human resources guy.
He does. Central casting. But the woman who was in human resources who had to Windex at places where sex had been had the day before didn't seem to be that mad about it.
Not
she was
that,
like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Everybody had a good attitude. Well, again, this is the 80s heyday, cocaine,
Yeah.
He loves... yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to bring it forward to when he starts killing people again in Belize. Because,
Thanks for bringing it forward that way.
You started McAfee antivirus. Good for you. Big business story.
Blah, blah,
I don't care.
Blah.
Then he starts acting like a warlord, like you said. Has 12 or 13
After
guys.
he was a guru. Let's just give that in the middle. There was the guru.
Starts an antivirus company, gets pretty much kicked out, takes a big buyout from that company because he wasn't the guy to lead them into the future. Then becomes a guru.
Yeah, buys a whole bunch of land. I just the fact that he bought a whole bunch of land, used his money, became a guru for a while until it wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah, and a guru that people respected. The woman in the documentary was like, no, he was a guru. And then she was like, and then I saw the day when he wasn't a guru.
But she
anymore.
didn't seem pissed by it. She was sort of like, you know what, we all go our ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then again, that you'd think that after you do yoga, it's like, By the way, the idea too of like I looked it up, the Bodhi, the idea of Bodhi, and nirvana is this idea of being no longer being attached to anything that would cause you to be greedy, to be greedy, hateful, and delusional. So that brings us to the next chapter in his life.
He became
Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
Greedy, hateful, and delusional.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? So I'm just I was wanted to make sure I said that because that's part of the whole. To me, that's the interesting trajectory of him as a mind and spirit of going like this is a guy who has this kind of energy in him and he doesn't know what to do with it, and then he just lets it just run itself.
Yeah, he decides, why am I fighting this? Yes. I'm going to embrace the greed and the hate and the delusion. Mm-hmm. Although maybe he was so delusional he didn't even know he was embracing. I mean, this man was he was a character, man. Mm-hmm. So in Belize, he amasses all this power. The one guy breaks into his place, steals something from him. He says, well, we got to let the people know that's not okay. He sends a few of his goons after them.
I'm sorry, but I just have to, when you do like, well, we got to let the people know that's not okay. We're going to send them a message. Yeah. Bring your worst guys, your fucking dirtiest looking dudes and do him in for, let them know. But of course they took it too far. And that was the part that was pretty troubling. Where like, wow, they took him to town with tasers
on his face. And did you you never watched Breaking Bad?
Genitals.
Oh yeah, genitals.
And until he went into a coma. He finally went into a coma and then he died, and then the driver McAfee's driver was like, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, I thought I was driving him around. And then so they knew there was a one guy, Eddie McCoy, Mac 10.
Right, friend of this guy, and he was Mac 10 because he used Mac 10 like the automatic rifle weapon, whatever it is.
Yeah, scary dude. So McAfee sets up a meeting with them. He's like, I'm not going to try to kill you if you don't try to kill me. In fact, I'd like you to work for me. So this guy who was going to be his number one enemy ends up working for him.
So shrewd, huh?
Well, it's they're so poor over there. And it's like, yeah, I could kill this guy. Or maybe McAfee put 20 grand in front of him and said, and there's more where that came from. And he's like, well, what? This helps me a lot more than killing him.
Sure.
So
sure.
it's
I can see a future in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then he becomes a warlord, as you said. Well, let's show the clip. What he ends up doing, imposing a curfew?
Yeah, that's wild. Why? For no reason. Okay. What right does he have?
Yeah.
What right do he have? I'm working on the McAfee musical.
Like 3 vehicles. One and security in the other 2.
So like how many guys?
Ooh, we had at least 12, 13 guys.
Is that normal to have 12 security guards?
Nope. Not normal. Not normal. You know a watchman? No problem. 12 security guard in 1 yard? That's not normal.
He said curfew. Any guy you find on the street after 8, Carmenita Village, is gonna be sorry.
After 9 at night, he driving a vehicle, all of us, all the security, and he'll make you know, if I pass back at such a time and you guys on the street, I'm gonna kill you.
Okay.
Isn't that something?
I mean,
yeah. What is? So he's got a curfew just so you know that I'm the one who's telling you where you can go, when you can go. Like just a complete power trip. Clearly, this man just went, "Oh, this is perfect. I get to be, king of the land," and he turns into the Colonel Kurtz, self-described.
Yeah.
Was self-described? Was it him or was it one of his guys that called him Colonel Kurtz?
I think somebody
another fellow, called him Colonel Kurtz.
But when he was sailing down the river at one point, he did describe the river as like a heart of darkness.
That's right. He
river.
did say that.
Yeah.
Which it does. It conjures up the exact same river from Heart of Darkness and from Apocalypse Now, and
yeah.
Yeah.
He was a madman. I'm sure he was doing crazy drugs. He's got that woman there. I forget her name, the microbiologist, Allison.
Oh, yeah.
She had a great last name, but she's helping him start this company there. It's all so a big
nice. She seemed like such a nice person.
And she was young when she joined, so she actually was probably like, what a dream. She said, what a dream this is. I'm going to go help.
So sad. Like, she's just such a nice person, looked sweet, wanted to do good things, create medicines from plants, And then like just has a run-in with one of the worst kinds of people.
Yeah. And is kind of slow to learn it because maybe she's isolated doing the medical stuff. But she said she saw the hitmen around and everything, so she probably knew. But he also, I've watched a lot of videos of him since we watched this doc, just learning more about him. And he's got a presence where even if I think this guy's crazy. He's enchanting. That deep voice, his confidence, the way he speaks, he pulls you in.
He's a Svengali.
Yeah, you guys have the same voice.
Actually, I have been working on his voice ever since I heard him on a podcast, and he has that kind of like almost Jeff Goldblum timing with and sometimes he'd have a gravel sound and a and he'd say something about something conspiratorial and go and you're like, oh my god, it's as though he's auditioning for a role, and it could either be, by the way, very Jokerish, very much Agent of Chaos, or the very devil himself,
Beelzebub.
Embezzlebub. That's what it sounded like you said. Embezzlebub. It's very good with accounting.
Watch your money when Embezzlebub is around. No, he was. I see why he pulled the wool over her eyes, and he also had the, cachet of being the creator of McAfee antivirus. He was a legit businessman.
Listen, nothing like that software guy cachet.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, but yeah, no, millionaire, billionaire, lost his millions, got.
But he even claimed he didn't lose his millions.
No.
He said that it was in bearer bond.
Right.
Shell corporations. He said he
Sure.
had so many people who were trying to sue him that it was all a ruse to throw them off the trail. And this guy was such a trickster.
A trickster. That's why.
You told me that word before we started, and I just want to give you credit because you're absolutely right. This man was a trickster, and he knew that he could twist. He just liked making you wonder. He just liked making you go, am I lying? Am I telling the truth? It doesn't matter. You're listening to me.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, he if he can fuck with you, then he has you.
Yeah.
But which one of the things I heard him when he was talking about being interviewed by this guy who did a piece for Wired magazine. Which, by the way, I think that same fellow wrote a screenplay that he was bragging that Michael Keaton is playing him. Yeah. So
who? Michael Keaton is playing
McAfee. Yes, exactly. So that maybe that's in the works. I haven't IMDb'd the pre-production on that. But
I could see Michael Keaton doing them.
Right.
Yeah.
I think so too. It'd be fun. To be honest.
love Michael Keaton.
Look, I gotta be honest with you. The guy's bragging about it, and I think like, oh, that's probably cool that he gets to say Michael Keaton will be playing me. But it would be cool if Michael Keaton was playing. It would be fun to watch.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Because again, it's great because then the Batman gets to be the Joker. Thank you. But he did. So anyway, he played a Russian roulette game, and he says, the way he described his ability of sleight of hand. I have a sleight of hand like nobody's business. He didn't say that. It was much more impressive than like nobody's business.
Like
but
nobody's business.
But he did say that he was palming. He's pulling out the bullets to try to freak this guy out, and then he puts in a bullet that is a dud, and then he does this, and he starts clicking, and the guy saying, the Wired journalist is saying, you don't have to do this, and he got such a kick out of that. He's like, don't fuck with me, or you'll be the one who's fucked with. And that's how I don't know if this is the facial expression, but that's good. How he sounds when he's talking.
Very menacing.
Menacing, impressive, but also, I think you're trying too hard.
Yeah.
Chill out.
But I'm not willing to take a chance that you're just acting right now because I've seen some things.
Yeah.
Being around you.
The other side of it is, well, the devil is actually quite scary.
Yeah.
And you look to be behaving and sound like him. So
yeah. You know what some people do when they're trying too hard? They murder people.
Yeah, that's right. just to show off or make a point.
Yeah. So he kills. Well,
he kills allegedly because we don't know who's listening, and he has friends.
Yeah, but yes, okay. So. He allegedly kills.
Yeah. Okay, pussy. No, yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, like he didn't. Alex just touched my foot. It needs to be said. The sexual tension is through the roof.
Barefooted.
Yeah. Long story short, he needs to leave his Orange Walk compound because the GSU raids him. They don't end up finding any drugs there. I don't know if he was savvy and got rid of the drugs or if he really wasn't making drugs there. But he goes back to Belize City, his little beachfront property he has there. Not little. It's a very nice beachfront property. And this is where he allegedly murders a dude that ends up getting him like... They're trying to find out if he murdered the guy, but the Belize police, I learned so much. I mean, they don't even have DNA testing there.
That's it. Yeah, it's like, what did they say? 3% of the murders get solved. Like, you pretty much just can get away with murder. Nobody's gonna say anything because they don't want you to then murder them and their family.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect place for a guy like a guy who allegedly does things like McAfee.
So he allegedly murders his neighbor on the beach because he's got his 2 dogs, or maybe more than 2.
I think it was more than 2, yeah. But loud, vicious, nasty-sounding dogs, and the neighbor had enough of them and went to the city, and nobody's helping him out, and then he poisons the dogs?
Yeah, so I hate that I forget the neighbor's name because his dad expressed remorse that everybody mentioned McAfee in the story about his son's death, and nobody ever said his son's name.
That's right.
And I made a point, I'm going to say his son's name. I forgot it.
Right.
Here's the thing that blew my mind about this guy. You're right. He complained to the city. They don't do anything. But it's on his walk to the, like, kind of bar that's on the beach. So before McAfee moved in there, he would do that walk along the sand. It's not McAfee's property. Anybody can walk there. And now these dogs are there. So he tries to talk to McAfee. McAfee loads a gun in front of him and says, get the fuck out of my house or off my property. So then he goes to the city. They do nothing. So then he poisons the dogs. I mean, he told a friend the day before, I'm going to poison those dogs, and then the dogs were poisoned. So you do the math. But my thing is, this guy loads a shotgun in front of you and says, get the fuck out of my house. I'm not poisoning those dogs.
Well, that's exactly it. I honestly kind of think like he's poisoning dogs with a guy like that, and you know what this guy is like. I mean, you don't have to see him for very long to know that I think this guy just thought he's not going to do. What's he going to do, really, right?
He's American. He's not like...
what's he going to do, really? This guy just was being naive, I guess, in terms of the level that the level of darkness that the heart can get dark. Anyway, but I think that he just misread him, made that mistake, and yeah, I mean, now he's... Although, I just heard that... I think it might be hard to get the money now. But apparently the family has $25 million coming to them because he had been ordered to pay.
Really?
Yes. The legalese on that, I completely forgot what it actually said. But yes, something to that effect, $25 million. But, I mean, now, I don't know. I think I just saw a headline today that it'll be difficult collecting at this point.
Yeah. And then Mac 10, the guy we mentioned earlier who he thought might kill him, who McAfee thought might kill him in revenge for his friend's murder, ends up working for him. And then it's pretty clear that he's the one who killed him.
Mac 10's the guy who did the hit, yeah.
But Mac 10's so cocky, he agreed to do another interview with this documentarian, Nanette, just knowing that nothing will happen to him. But then later he texts her. He's like, "Oh shit's actually getting real. I gotta get out of here." But the fact that he agreed to do a second interview,
kind of cocky.
Yeah, it's like he felt untouchable.
Yeah, pretty much. But then realized that word's getting around. Of course, he did. There was the other thing too that Johnny Cakes sent images saying, "I've got my people watching you," to the documentarian.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's watching.
Mm-hmm.
And so he sees another interview. Then he hears about what's being interviewed. Yeah, I'm sure that Mac 10, better make it Mac 0 out of there.
So that he doesn't draw the ire of McAfee.
That is true. Oh, they were a match.
Yeah, a match.
This is where you can there's times you're allowed to self-censor.
I refuse. John McAfee didn't do it, and I will not either. Taking a break from this episode of Alex and DJ Watch a Doc, I'd like to just bring you one little word from a sponsor of today's episode. Today's episode is brought to you by the Tourism Board of Belize. The Tourism Board of Belize would like to remind you that it's not just a murderous, crazy place where people like John McAfee can do whatever the hell they want. There's also lots of beautiful stuff, great people. They have the Great Blue Hole, beautiful natural site where you can scuba dive. I think a comet might have hit there at some point. People get married inside of it. Lots of beautiful fish. There's a big barrier reef there. Really beautiful place. So once again, the Tourism Board of Belize would like to remind you, Belize, we're more than just McAfee's murders. Back to the episode. I mean, he goes on the run. He goes to Guatemala, running from the police. He ends up faking a heart attack to avoid extradition to America. Fakes 2 heart attacks because they say his appeal in the Guatemalan prison won't be ready till 3 p.m. But they try to extradite him back to Belize. Not U.S. Yeah. Fakes 2 heart attacks. The appeal comes through at 3 p.m. and then he doesn't have to go back to Belize and then gets extradited back to America home free. I gotta say, McAfee. I mean, how many people are going to fake a heart attack in that situation? Most people or many people are going to resign themselves to
it's true. It's true. You're right about that. He's a man who thinks on his feet. I also like the fact that is the first thing that came to his mind. I can imagine that like a last minute thing to do. Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not fucking around. I'm not faking it. I'm not faking it. Like he's doing that, right?
2 heart attacks.
Yeah.
So that means he like came to and thought he had enough time, and they were like, okay, now we're gonna take you to prison. I'm not again.
Exactly. This is sitcom material,
Yeah.
right? That's what it is. It's actually kind of funny sounding when you break it down like that. Like, I'm not kidding this time. This time I'm really not kidding. Like it really feels like that.
Yeah. Is somebody burning toast? Or like, that's a stroke. What is it? Which one is it?
It's like, God, I'm doubling up, okay? Man, but it is a lot to take when you just think of like everything that he does after a thing, and that makes him feel untouchable. That makes him feel like I kind of fucking weasel my way out of this.
Yeah.
And I'll weasel my way out of everything until he. I guess some people say QAnoners I guess say that could be that he didn't really kill himself in prison. But
yeah, his post after he died on Instagram, it was just a big Q.
Yeah, that's right.
And a lot of people think Q might have hacked him and put that there,
Right,
or
right.
somebody who handled his account, or maybe he set it up to do after
Pretty
he
wild,
died.
man. It's just it's so crazy, like that you can have that. That's such a Joker move, right? Like to kind of leave with one last little like who done it,
Yeah.
And yet the apparently I did actually literally just read this just before we taped this. That yes, the autopsy shows that it was a suicide.
Yeah.
But of course, who's the doctor?
But I mean, you're joking, but also, who's the doctor?
But also, who's the doctor?
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm not saying if any theorist is right or not, but that's irrelevant. The fact is that we can only know what we know.
Let's jump away from the movie and talk about after the movie. I mean, kind of the movie too. He comes back. Yeah. He runs for president.
Sure, there's that.
He picks up a sex worker the day he gets back in Miami. She ends up becoming his wife.
Yeah, I know, but there's more to that story too, by the way.
What is it?
Yeah, there was like an article I saw where apparently her pimp set her up with him because there was a cartel. This is from her words, right? There was a cartel that wanted to follow him, and so she was supposed to follow him, and she kept the secret for like 2 years, and she felt terrible about it, but she hated what it was doing to the relationship, but she was going along with it at first because the pimp was getting orders from the cartel, and she knew it was kind of dangerous, and she didn't know how to deal with it necessarily, and then it got to the point where they were now starting to say, like, we want you to poison his food or leave the door unlocked so we can get in, kind of thing. And that was a point. At that point, she actually told him. And he says, he forgives her. I mean, she was in a real tough spot. And when she told me, it was a beautiful moment. It was a beautiful moment.
Damn, you do a scary impression of him.
Whatever. Yeah, that was stupid. But I mean, in a way, it is a beautiful moment. You're still like, I was supposed to kill you and I didn't.
You do a great impression of John McAfee.
Wow, and you do a great impression of his charisma.
You got the voice, I got the spirit. So here's my question: is she tells him, but then why doesn't the cartel still kill him after that, and her for not obeying
well, that's
her
it.
order?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know what it turned into or how he was able to protect him and herself. That part I don't know. I only got that much from the article. That's up to you, the viewer listener, to decide whether you want to pursue, and then you can add in the comments what you find out.
Beautiful little love story between him and his wife, coming back from Belize, just meeting her on the first day. She's supposed to kill him at some point, can't bring herself to do it. That's gorgeous. Yeah. Or at least set him up to be killed or robbed or whatever.
I'd like to see this with Michael Keaton and whoever is cast.
I'm going to say Rosario Dawson.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay, I think it was. She is, I think, fully like a African American, like a black person. I think they would probably cast more, because I think of all times now would be not a good time to not perfectly cast a black woman.
I mean, Scarlett Johansson played a Japanese woman like 2 years ago. We haven't come that far.
So she's now you want her to play? You don't want her to play?
You know what? Fuck it. Scarlett Johansson's going to play the sex worker.
You went to Scarlett Johansson. Well, I'll tell you, that's stunt casting is what that is.
When Emma Stone played the Hawaiian person a couple years ago, we're still light years away from real progress, Alex.
Light years away. I think you're light years away with the way you're putting this into
I don't like it, but I'm just playing the system like my good friend John McAfee. So John McAfee...
I hate the way you bring it back. I hate it. No, let me just say this. I just want to say one more thing about
You can say many more things.
No, but... You were going off on a thing, and I know that I'm sure it was going to be a wonderful castle you were going to build, and I hate for me to jump in and just put together a little hut. Anyway, when he was with the women, his harem, there's one little quote that I do recall him saying, that he had less stress with them than he had in the 2 marriages that he had. That being married is a lot more stressful than having 7 women who you pay to do whatever you want. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. A marriage, you're responsible to somebody.
Of course.
A harem, you just get to indulge in your wildest fantasies. I mean, it's apples and oranges.
Exactly. Why can't you have a fruit salad? Yes. To polygamy, not polygamy, but actually that would be more polyamory. By the way, why did it from polyamory turn into what's the other poly? The one poly.
Sure.
This is a good opportunity to now transition into our next guest.
Okay, so he nice little hut you built there. Let's move on to the castle here, huh?
No, but what do you call it? The
polygamy, polyamory,
the one that's like, is it polyamory? No, it's like popular now. What the hell is it? I lost it. When you have many partners, what is it? Is it just a polyamorous? No.
Polyamorous?
I thought it was something else.
A poly couple?
Is it just polyamorous?
I think so.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know. Your shorts, by the way, look like a green screen. It looks like you're wearing a green screen skirt. Swear to God,
put what you want on them. We'll do it.
What's going to say that?
So
tilt the camera. All right.
He ran for the candidate as the Libertarian candidate in the 2016 election. Almost win, come second or maybe second, I think.
Was it?
To Gary Johnson.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Almost win. I mean, I watched some of his debates. John McAfee was a fucking amazing speaker. I was like, this guy needs to be president.
Yeah.
Even knowing I had just watched the movie.
Well, he said 2 conflicting things, didn't he, though? Where he said something about like how we have to protect our privacy, but also we have to have security and everything has to be watched. It was one of those conflicting, we need our freedom and we need our security, and they completely conflict with each other. But he said 2 things that, and I think it was in the documentary, but now I don't have the memory you have, so I can't build a fucking castle.
Listen, you're making me feel amazing about my memory because I don't have one, but you keep saying it, so maybe I got a better memory than I thought.
It's not bad.
But I think that privacy versus security thing is kind of an age-old, especially in the age of the internet.
Of course.
But he focused a lot on the fact that there was too much privacy being given away. He said a lot of the stuff I saw was him being like, Google will tell you that if you don't have anything to hide, then you don't have anything to fear. And it's like, what are you talking about? We all have something to hide. We're private people. That's what keeps the society functioning. And I was watching him talk about that. I was like, yeah, you're right, John McAfee.
Right. Yeah.
So he almost wins that, but even while he's running for president and running for the candidate in the Libertarian Party, he is still doing batshit crazy stuff, and he becomes a huge advocate, a proponent of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and
I didn't know. I only heard of that. You kind of delved a little bit more into that, huh?
Yeah, I delved into it quite a bit because I had a friend corner me at a pool party a couple of weeks ago who was like proselytizing for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency.
Hopefully they don't listen or watch this.
Yeah.
That same person.
Well, I mean, I'm not even being negative. This man was smitten with Bitcoin, and he's not the only one, you know. But so much of what he was saying, I saw John McAfee talking about in a lot of his speeches. Right. And I was like, oh, so these are the main selling points of Bitcoin. It's a mathematical thing. It can't be, interfered with by any government. It's not tied to a central bank, all these sorts of things.
Everybody's got the pitch. Everybody's got that same pitch.
But here's the thing, is one of the charges he was going to jail for was pumping and dumping
that's right.
Cryptocurrency.
That's what it was, yes.
And so what he was doing was he was doing, so I know what IPOs are, initial public offerings for companies going public. There's something called an ICO, an initial coin offering. I didn't know that. He was, with his 1.1 million Twitter followers, him and a partner, forget the guy's name, 40-year-old guy, lives in Texas. They were pumping and dumping, which is kind of an age-old thing in the regular stock market, but telling people this stock is amazing, but they're being paid by this company to say that. You guys got to get this. This is the next big coin. You got to get in on this. Artificially inflate the price of the coin. Everybody buys it. They sell when it's at its highest. They walk out with a few $1,000,000.
Sure.
Did that for a bunch of different coins. As my friend that I was talking to at this party would tell me, they're called shit coins. There's Bitcoin, and then there's a lot of shit coins, which are a lot of like garbage. It's a new kind of frontier. There's a lot of room for these sorts of garbage, separating stupid people from their money or excited people. It's easy to take people.
Well, if you got a good pitch and you know how to pitch it,
you got a deep ass voice and you're John McAfee.
It sounds to me though like it's like any kind of like empty pitch, like a classic a Ponzi pitch. You know what I mean? It feels like it's what do you call it? Pyramid marketing? What do you call it again? Yes.
Yeah, pyramid scheme?
Yeah, pyramid scheme, yes.
Multi-level marketing.
Multi-level marketing. That's I mixed the two together, sorry.
They're kind of the same.
Yeah, multi-level marketing, pyramid. Yes, exactly. So it's like, it feels like it's got that same energy of like, oh, wow, I could make how much? And it comes from nowhere? Yeah. I want money from nowhere into my pocket?
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
But people still, even after his death, a lot of the comments on YouTube are people being like, he knew what he was talking about with crypto. A lot of people think he was killed because of what he was doing with crypto. So it's like, even with the pumping and dumping stuff, people still think it was a government scheme against him because he was doing, he hadn't paid his taxes in 8 years. He didn't believe that we should have to pay taxes. I'm kind of with him on that one, but
right.
I mean, what services am I getting, Alex?
Right.
What services am I getting for all this money I'm giving the government?
Oh, right. Your roads.
But the roads aren't kept well enough, in my opinion, for the money they take from me.
Your health care.
That I pay a private company to give me?
Your, the air that you breathe.
Yeah, I got to pay tax on that. I'm pretty sure Nestle owns that air if we do some digging.
Actually.
Yeah.
Ooh, have you tried actually? They have flavored bottled air. It's really good.
Is it good? It probably exists.
That's the question. Is it good? No, what critical thinking there. Is it good?
There's some sort of flavored air thing, though. There's like a real product.
Oh, of course there is.
Yeah.
I love the idea of like plastic being used to house it.
Yeah.
Like it's just like that's the lowest possible level that we could sink. Water is the second lowest. The lowest is bottled air in plastic that then pollutes the air inevitably.
Yeah.
And the water. Well, yeah, the plastic, the idea of plastic polluting the water that's in it, it's like water's revenge. No, how's it work? Sorry. No, cut out that thought. That's a non-thought.
Also, I got one more thing to say, and then I'm ready to wrap it up. Unless you got 1 or 10 more things to say, I'd love to hear what you have to say. But this is very important.
Okay.
A couple years ago, John McAfee also said that he fucked a whale.
Yeah. Right.
I know.
And he has 47 illegitimate children. He
did
brags.
say that as well.
So a couple of them could have been of the water mammalian species.
That's true. A couple half man, half whale.
Oh no.
But honestly, you can joke about this all you want, but for a man to just try to tweet out, I fucked a whale, and like pose it, like, pass it off as a serious thing, that's hilarious.
He really just tweeted just that.
He said that there's something on the McAfee River. I made that up at a word that sounds like that. I think in Belize maybe there's a thing every February 1st where people try to see how long they can fuck a whale. Most people last a second. The record is 30 seconds. He said I lasted a second and I almost crushed my ribs. Something like that.
So I see. So this is the story. It's like a bucking bronco story.
Yeah.
He's like
only fucking whale instead of bucking bronco.
Right. Fucking bronco. But no, I
Some people want a free willy. Some want to fuck him.
Can we end it on this? I think that he is not entirely. Remember, delusional was one of the things that happens when you don't reach enlightenment. He's sunk all the way down to the other side.
It's true.
Yeah.
And on the other side was a good old-fashioned whale fucking competition.
Poor whale. I just feel sorry for the whale. It's not the same as getting a loaf in the or giving a loaf.
Yeah.
You're taking him, not
It's true.
him taking you.
It's true. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we go to our final segment?
I hate the fact that was somehow possibly some end of a chapter or whatever the hell it was. It's the worst.
Hey, it's the life of John McAfee. It's dangerous.
Bringing it back.
This is a new segment we're going to end every show on. It's 3 questions. What are the 3 questions? It is, what did you learn? How did you feel? And where do we go from here? Alex, what did you learn?
Well, I learned that you can fall pretty far from the yoga retreat. You can fall from the yoga mat. There's no good metaphor here. Basically, I learned he lived on the edge and tested the limits. I learned a few limits that people can have for themselves. I learned a little bit of that. I mean, obviously, I learned a man's life, and the guy. Oh, it turns out the guy who made that antivirus software was quite the character.
Yeah. Has anybody checked in on how Norton's doing? You got McAfee. What's going on with the Norton antivirus guy?
No, are we doing that next week? We don't want to do 2 back to back.
You know what I learned?
Yeah.
I learned that in the Bahamas, they don't have any income tax, and you can't be extradited for a crime that doesn't exist in the country you're currently living in. So he was hiding out in Bahamas. The government was trying to get him for tax evasion. Bahamas said, we can't extradite him for that. So then they added on the pump and dump and the racketeering and a couple other things, and that's when he got sent back to America last time. But you can't be charged for a crime if the country you've fled to doesn't have that, isn't a crime there.
Oh, that's why he knew to flee there.
Yeah.
Wow. You learned something much more specific, and it seemed like it involved research. Mine was just feelings.
You shared so many real things you learned throughout the course of that episode. So if the feeling is what you want to take away from it, that's fine. That leads me to our next question. What do you feel?
Jeez Louise.
How do you feel?
Why do you have to make everything so painful? How did I feel? I felt a little off-put at times. Certainly, I felt terrible for some of the victims, and particularly his dad, the neighbor's dad.
Oh my God, that was heartbreaking.
And also like the poor Allison. She's like such a sweetheart, you know.
She was.
Actually, when I first saw her, I was like, oh, she's cute. Oh no, I don't like the looks of this. She's kind of cute, and he's kind of creepy looking.
And your worst fears were confirmed. Lucky she got out of there, though. She could have.
She got out of there alive, yeah.
Yeah. I felt all those things you just said repulsed by him, but also weirdly
attracted. Wow. Sorry, this is your turn.
Yeah. But magnetized to him. His charisma worked on me, and that made me feel repulsed with myself for buying into his magnetism.
Even better.
Knowing all the terrible things he was doing.
That's good. You learned more than me in a way, because it reflected back into you, and you got in touch with your ego. I honestly think you should read one of his 5 books on yoga.
He said they were all bullshit, and
he says that, but I think that we could all learn a little something.
The version of him that I really felt most connected to he thought those books were bullshit, so I'm going to go with Belizean John McAfee on this one.
All right.
And final question, Alex, before we end this crazy-ass episode of Alex and DJ Watch a Doc. Where do we go from here? You just finished watching this documentary about McAfee. Now what?
I just want to say that I don't approve of that lifestyle that he had. But if some money fell into my lap, I actually kind of curious. Maybe I might want to check out Belize. It looks nice, like the beachfront property.
Yeah, but then they don't have DNA testing. You're getting murdered, nothing's happening. First of all, it doesn't matter once you're murdered what happened, but I'd like to know my assailants were apprehended.
You want to know your assailants were apprehended.
Yeah. Isn't that
is that one of your dying thoughts? Oh, I hope these assailants get apprehended.
Not like I hope my children know I love them or anything.
These damn assailants.
Where do we go from here? For me, I think that I would like to take in 5% of his fearlessness. Not any more than that. Not the fearlessness that leads me to kill people or, allegedly kill people or any of the sexual assault stuff. Obviously, none of that.
Yeah.
But to just speak with such conviction that people are like, this guy knows what he's fucking talking about. I
want to add that to my answer a little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like the idea of at least kind of appreciating the zest for life and to really grab hold of things, just as long as you're not grabbing hold of anybody against their will.
Exactly, yes. Grab hold of everything except people against their will.
I think if you want to sum up a life philosophy, that's not a bad one to have.
Pretty good bumper sticker, too. Before we say goodbye, can I ask a favor of you as we say goodbye?
Sure.
Can you say goodbye in your best John McAfee voice?
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Oh, next week we're watching Hearts of Darkness, the documentary about the making of Apocalypse Now. We talked about his Heart of Darkness kind of mentality.
Don't get too excited. It's Hearts of Darkness. It's about Apocalypse Now, the making of it. Now it's kind of like a journey of Hearts of a Darkness in Francis Ford Coppola's journey of making the film.
So watch that, and I am excited, and you're not going to do anything to diminish that. I'm DJ.
I'm Alex.
See you later.